If you were from Portland, Oregon, or you heard the reports that the Portland Police Bureau declared a riot yesterday, June 14th, you need to watch this video. First off, right-wingers are using the fact that a riot was declared late yesterday on Macadam Avenue in front of the ICE facility in Portland, Oregon, to falsely claim that the No Kings Day protests in downtown Portland and elsewhere in the city were violent and were a riot. That's simply not true. The No Kings Day protests across Portland, including the two I went to, the East Portland and the main downtown protest, were entirely nonviolent. I realize that Fox News chuddies cannot distinguish between different neighborhoods in large cities, but the No Kings Day protests in downtown Portland were nowhere near the ICE detention center on Macadam Avenue. So let's just clear up that little bit of disinformation right now. But I do want to talk about what happened at ICE last night and why everybody in Portland needs to be aware. And we need to be, in my opinion, we need to be moving on it. For some context here, there have been protests in front of the ICE detention center for quite some time. Now, they started out as Tesla takedown protests because the Tesla dealership and the ICE detention center are very near each other. And as we have seen ICE escalate their reign of terror across this country, including just the other day in Oregon's wineries, where they are snatching up winery workers, they tell us that they are taking dangerous criminals, gangsters. Then why are you snatching up decent, hardworking members of our agricultural workforce who just want to live their lives, pay their taxes, do their jobs, and live peacefully here in Oregon? Anyway, I'll probably cover that story in a little bit more detail tomorrow, but specifically around what's happening at the ICE Center. So as the outrage grows around the inhumanity, the cruelty of ICE, we have seen those protests grow as well. Tesla takedown protests are still happening, but the ICE protests are growing. So last week there was an issue where protesters were trying to put debris logs in front of the driveway to the ICE detention center, and Portland Police Bureau came and cleared it away for them. And not only that, but Portland Police Bureau have been guarding the ICE facility. And those and other actions have been perceived by folks in Portland as the Portland police working alongside ICE, protecting ICE. And this is a sanctuary city, and our police bureau is not allowed to support ICE in law enforcement. It was a big enough issue that the police chief had to make a statement, and he's saying, well, yeah, clearing obstacles from in front of a driveway so that deliveries can come in. You mean human beings who've been snatched by ICE and are now being sent into a for-profit detention facility. Is that what you mean by deliveries, chief? Anyway, the Portland police cleared the driveway for them so they could access it, which only further pissed people off. Why are our taxpayer dollars going to fund ICE in a city where Portlanders overwhelmingly do not support ICE and what they're doing? Why are our taxpayer dollars going to clear their They can clear their own fucking driveway. Why are the Portland police protecting this facility? Why are they not protecting Oregonians against the terror of ICE? So yesterday afternoon and into the evening, the situation really kind of ramped up. Journalist Taylor Griggs from the Portland Mercury has been covering it. Taylor said, "I'm here at the Portland ICE facility where shit is going down. Federal agents have been shooting pepper balls at protesters. A little fire started, although it wasn't substantiated how, but it happened in the middle of the feds popping off pepper balls. Some dry brush caught fire and the protesters put it out. Shortly thereafter, a riot was declared, which meant that the Portland Police Bureau closed the streets outside of the facility. It was very loud, and so it was difficult for people to hear that the riot had been declared, and that meant that the crowd was slow to disperse. It wasn't actually that long before the riot was called off, but let me show you some footage from the site yesterday. The first clip is from Full Rev Media on Instagram, who says that ICE pulled weapons on the unarmed protesters multiple times. While it's not gotten as much attention as Los Angeles, there has been a consistent protest, basically 24/7, at the ICE facility for many days now. They've been using tear gas and flashbangs and pepper balls, and also rubber bullets, but in the last few days, it's escalated to real firearms. And it's not just the firearms. If you are at all familiar with what happened here in 2020 and the array of noxious substances that law enforcement used against unarmed protesters then, what you're going to see in the next clip filmed at the ICE detention facility yesterday will be all too familiar as well.
Fucking bastard!
Green gas was commonly used in 2020, and at the time it was an unknown substance. At the time, Portlanders were really concerned because the side effects of this gas were far outside the typical effects of pepper spray or tear gas. Intense burning sensations all over your skin, vomiting. And keep in mind, when these gases are released, they are released not only on the protesters, they also filter into the surrounding neighborhoods and they get into the waterways as well. So thanks to a protester named Juniper Simonis, who I actually know from roller derby, who took samples and sent them off to a lab. They collected the spent canisters, swabbed them, and sent them off for testing. And those samples were shown to contain hexachloroethane, commonly called HC, which is a white powder that when you heat it in the presence of certain metals like zinc, it reacts to form a dense cloud of green or white smoke. It smells very strongly of camphor, and it has a whole range of really nasty effects. HC is a regulated toxin labeled as likely carcinogenic. It's a skin irritant. The EPA says that gloves are recommended for handling it. By the way, the US military stopped using HC in grenades back in the 1990s because of its extreme toxicity. According to a 2020 report, the HC grenades that were fired in Portland are basically a two-stage reaction in which the chlorine in the HC rapidly combines with zinc, resulting in zinc chloride, a toxic metal fume that appears as a greenish to white smoke. The zinc chloride is an intentional product of the grenade's design. Gaseous zinc chloride, also known as hexite, is more than an alternative type of tear gas. Because it contains both chloride ions and zinc, a heavy metal, hexite plumes are highly mobile and extremely dangerous. So according to the article, if you are watching this on YouTube, by the way, you can always find it in the video description. The chloride ions increase the uptake of the zinc particles by your mucous membranes. Zinc can accumulate in tissues and organs and then mobilize later, causing a new set of symptoms. The most striking effect of zinc chloride toxicity is the vomiting, burning, and coughing in the moment, but it can also cause severe liver damage, fatigue, weight loss, and difficulty breathing. So there's the firearms, there's the hexite canisters. As if the firearms and the hexite canisters were not bad enough, there have been multiple reports that ICE agents are aiming for people's eyes and faces when they are shooting rubber bullets. Yesterday, outside the detention facility, a nurse was shot directly in the eye with a rubber bullet. Keep in mind, these are less lethal weapons. Unfortunately, I can't show you the whole video here, but you can go watch it on my Blue Sky. If I post it here, it will get taken down for graphic content because he's been seriously injured by ICE. And now I would like to direct folks to Glendale, California for a second. A week ago today, the city of Glendale announced that they were canceling their contract with ICE. In their press release, city officials said public perception of the ICE contract, no matter how limited or carefully managed, no matter the good, has become divisive. And while opinions on the issue may vary, the decision to terminate the contract is not politically driven. It is rooted in what this city stands for: public safety, local accountability, and trust. Meanwhile, the city of Newark has looked at shutting down their ICE facility, claiming they do not have proper permitting. It's important to note that these ICE detention facilities are being run by private corporations. I don't know if the one in Portland is run by Geo Group, but they run a significant portion of them around the country. These are private businesses, men getting very rich, taking our taxpayer dollars, terrorizing our migrant neighbors and robbing them of their freedom. Governments in sanctuary cities, governments with democratic leadership, need to be getting a lot more creative about how we are going to resist ICE and everything that has gone down around the Portland ICE detention center in the past few days has prompted concerned citizens to call for the revocation of the permit for the ICE detention facility on Macadam Avenue. If you're a Portlander, I encourage you to Google Organize for Portland ICE Detention. You can find the petition, you can sign it, you can share it widely. If we're a sanctuary city, if Portlanders are committed to resisting the terror of ICE, why are we housing the American Gestapo in our city? I understand people protesting on site are absolutely outraged. I totally understand their motivation to do the kind of protests that they are doing to draw attention to what ICE is doing. But I would just encourage us to think about whether there are other avenues that we can pursue here as well that might be more effective and protect the bodies and the lives of protesters in the process. I also just think this is really good confirmation that whether or not you want to try and have nonviolent protest, whether or not you are committed to that, that law enforcement is not. If you are at the ICE detention facility, please stay safe. For everybody else in Portland, what can we do to pressure our city government? What actions do y'all think that we should be taking?